Crafters. Today's project is, again, combining the old with the new and now, and seeing if we can put them together. I'm going to be making a pinafore dress. Sometimes I've heard them called jumper dresses as well. These are usually dresses that you wear a shirt or maybe even a dress underneath. There's a bodice and a skirt to the pinafore dress. Sometimes there isn't a back to the dress, or it's not fully enclosed on the sides, and so you wear a shirt underneath it as a layering piece. It's almost like kind of a skirt and a vest combined into one garment. Anyway, I've loved these since I was a kid. They're comfy, they're cute, and there are a lot of possibilities with them because you can put different layering pieces under and over them, and they're cute. I actually found a vintage pattern, and this one is coming from the 1940s. I do love me some 1940s patterns because, man, they can be really cute, but also really wearable. They're not too fluffy, they're not too over the top. They kind of have a little like, I'm here to do a job vibe to them, which I appreciate. Let's take this 1940s jumper pattern. It's super cute. It's got buttons, it's got a V-neck, A-line skirt. Let's take that and try to modernize it a little bit. I'm hoping to give this jumper a dark academia, light academia, an academia theme to it. I have been enjoying doing a little research on this kind of the academia aesthetic, and from what I can tell in ye olde internet, it seems to be just a very visual, trend where people are using kind of sepia tone or darker tone photos, moody lighting, and featuring vintage items. Many times they're books or antiques, and people are wearing clothing that looks to me very vintage, very British even. Lots of tweeds and plaids and sweaters and menswear inspired pieces. And it's a fun vibe, especially with fall and winter. I think it's a very wearable aesthetic to give a try. I'm going to be taking the 40s jumper pattern and trying to tweak it a little bit to turn it into kind of an academia inspired outfit. I think they'll go together really nicely because the 40s pattern has, some tailoring. And it's cute, but it's not too over the top. And I think you could wear it in an academic environment, no problem. Let me show you the pattern I'm working with. I will also link to it down below because I got it on Etsy. And then I will show you the fabric we're working with. I'm really excited about the fabric. And let's tackle this project. Let's see if we can combine the old, the new, and hopefully make something that I could wear a lot in everyday life. Join me for the sewing adventure. Let's get started. Well, here is our super cool vintage pattern. I purchased this one as a downloadable pattern from Etsy, and I will definitely link to that seller because I searched pretty high and low to find a jumper pattern or pinafore dress pattern from the 40s because I love pinafore dresses. They're really easy to style, either vintage or modern, because they're kind of making a comeback. But I love the 40s because they're kind of utilitarian. They're not super full skirted, and I don't know, I just think that's really cute. You might even recognize this pattern because in my birthday pinafore dress sewing project, I actually used this style and made like a pinafore dress with that. It was really fun, but I have been wanting to do this full fronted pattern, or well, button front. Yeah, button front version. So today's the day. Okay, so these are the vintage instructions. Man, check it out. They are not wasting any fabric. They're in the cutting diagrams. This is coming from war times, so they were pretty efficient with their stuff. Oh man. Whew. Yeah, with these vintage patterns, I've definitely noticed they give you some instructions, but man, they assume that you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing. So yeah, I've definitely had to kind of scratch my head a few times make a few guesses as to how they were meant to do things, and then just do my best. All right. Here is our instructions, and of course we're going for the ones with the buttons, not the more like open-sided Pinafore style. Man, yeah, it looks like first up, get those darts sewn in, shoulder seams, then we're going to put in a neck facing. Then we gotta stitch the bodice to the waistband, and then we've got this really cool skirt detail. Now, I've made a bunch of modifications to this pattern for today's project, and I'm actually going to skip using these pleats. I have tried it before, and it's not that hard to figure out, and it looks very cute, but I'm just going to be simplifying today and see how these two pattern pieces are stitched together to make one. Well, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut out one big piece instead of cutting out two. So instead of having 8 panels on the skirt, 4 in the front, 4 in the back, I'm going to be doing 4 total. So, you know, these two will be one pattern piece, and these two will be one pattern piece. I know, I love the pleats, but I'm going for streamline today. Hey, well, as you can tell, this is my fabric I'm using. It's a remnant of, I think it's kind of a stretchy, almost cambric material. I really love it. I think it'll be very utilitarian, but also very cute. Let's look at the pattern. I'll show you some of the other modifications I've made, and let's dive in. Okay, well, I got out most of my pattern pieces. I did a mock-up of this dress before tackling this project, and I'm really glad I did. Hey, you can tell my skirt piece, yes, lovely wrapping paper, isn't it? My skirt piece is that the 2 skirt panels combined into one. I need 4 of those total. And then, yeah, speaking of doing a mock-up, I'm really glad I did with the bodice because it ran pretty narrow. So I ended up adding about, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so to each of the pieces. 1/2 inch on the side of bodice piece 1 and 1/2 inch on the other bodice piece. And then I did add about 1/2 inch to my back bodice as well. I kind of tapered it in a little under the arms because I really needed a little more room around the waist. It definitely ran snug around the waist. And because of that, I needed to add about 2 inches total to my skirt all around, so added about 1/2 inch to each skirt panel. And I got to add that to the waistband pieces too. Oh shoot, where's my waistband? Okay, waistband piece is 2 long strips, and it is somewhere. I'll have to find it. Another modification I made though to the front of the bodice and to the back, I really enlarged the neck. It was a very high-necked V front, and man, I really want to be able to wear like collared shirts under this and have the collar show. So I changed that, and of course that means I had to kind of make a new neck facing here to make that deeper V, and I also modified the back of the neckline, just making it bigger so I can wear more things under this. So since I modified that, I also have to modify my facing. All right, well, off the top of my head, oh, and I'm not doing the pleats like pictured in the picture. I know, a lot of modifications on this one, but I think it's going to work. I think it's going to be kind of cute, but not too cutesy. You know, have some detailing, but not too detailed. Let's, well, I'm going to spend a bunch of time cutting out my pieces here and show you what we look like here when we're done. Phew. Well, I got all the pieces cut out. You can see all the bodice pieces down below. They've got little marks on them. I need to pin and sew those darts, and then I'll sew the shoulder seams together, and then they want me to work on the neck placket. So over there, of course, we got our waistband bits, and then we have a whole bunch of skirt pieces, 4 in total. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I decided to make the skirt longer, which then made it so it basically took up all of my fabric, and I kind of had to actually reduce the width of the skirt panels a little bit, and I'm hoping it's still going to work. I was thinking kind of like a midi maxi length. Not appropriate, you know, necessarily for 40s day wear, but for today, I kind of like a midi length. I don't know. I basically used up all of my fabric, so I don't have
room to make a pocket or anything like that. I think we'll have just enough. Oh, and I also need to make a little placket for the side opening too. Okay, well, it was tight, but we did it. Next step, gotta sew some darts and all those good things. Hey everybody, it's the next day, and I got a bunch of stuff done last night. You can tell I got the skirt panel sewn together. Of course, I left a little side opening for that side skirt placket. And hey, yeah, look, I got the darts going in on the bodice. It's exciting. Got those on the front and the back. And then, interestingly enough, they're telling me to finish the armholes with some single fold bias tape. So I've got that clipped on. Got to start doing a little sewing on that. I think they may be doing that option for the seam finishing in an attempt to save fabric. That's a guess. I know, I believe they also suggest you could hem the skirt with this as well. So it is, you know, a wartime pattern. Perhaps they're, you know, saving every inch they can. I don't know. But yeah, I got to get the binding on there. And as you can tell, I've also been working on the neck facing. So I got the front and the back sewn together, and then I kind of rolled some of these edges over so they were stitched down. Now I got to pin that into the bodice. After I get the neck facing in, I think the next step is to start attaching the waistband. Well, waistbands. Attach the waistbands together and then attach those to bodice, and then attach bodice and skirt together. So, yeah, progress. Okay, well, I got that neck facing on there, and it's kind of hard to see, but I did some little stitches to tack it down all the way around. And then I realized that I needed to put the buttonholes on before I attached the waistband, because it'd just make life less complicated. And of course, that was the lovely and problem-filled process it always is. Yay. So now we got to talk waistband. And of course, our waistband is then going to also, after it's sewn to the bodice, it's then also going to be sewn to the skirt with the skirt coming down from that. Now, from what I can tell, the vintage directions are doing some cool processes where they iron under the edges and top stitch it over the front of the bodice, and it sounds complicated and I'm feeling lazy. So what I'm going to do is pin right sides together like you can see here. Of course, I've got my placket here on one side. I'll need to leave that open. Going to stitch right sides together, and when that's done, it'll look like that. It might not look quite as cool or lay quite as flat as the top stitched one, but that's what I'm thinking. And then I'll do a similar process, right sides together, to sew the skirt on. And, you know, then the skirt will be coming down from that. After that, gotta put the lining on, and then it's gonna look a lot like a jumper dress. So let's sew this first, and then we'll pin it to the skirt and sew that. Okay guys, time to pin the bottom of the waistband to the skirt. Now, I realized while trying this the first time that somehow I had made the skirt inches too wide. Now, I can't quite figure out how I did that. I did make the skirt pieces a little bit wider to try to expand the waistband. Remember, I made the waistband about 2 inches longer. I expanded the bodice, so it was about 2 inches longer. Thought I had done something similar on the skirt. Not quite sure how I got it like 6 inches too wide.
Yeah, maybe you cool sewing people out there can tell me what I did, but when I was finagling my skirt pattern and changing it up a bit, I did something. So I added some gathering stitches into my skirt, which actually I'm not mad about. Looking at it now, I think it'll be nice to have a little extra room in the waist. You know, Taco Tuesday. Hey, it could be a good thing in the long term. So I've run some gathering stitches. I have gathered that up a little bit, and now it's time to flip this guy to the inside, and I'm gonna pin my right side of my skirt to the right side, right there, of my waistband. Oops, gotta go this way. There we go. Now again, this is a little different, actually quite a bit different than the directions, but hey, at this point, we're just rolling with it. Hey, exciting news, guys. It is now technically a dress. We have the bodice and the skirt both attached to our waistband. Of course, we're looking at it inside out right now, but that's exciting. Took a while to get that, but it's exciting. So now I need to add the waistband lining that's going to go all around the inside and cover up these lovely raw edges. Now the directions, of course, are showing me how to do it in a slightly different way than I want to do it. I think what I want to do is pin my waistband right sides together with the bodice and stitch it down by machine. They were suggesting I would roll the raw edges down, iron them, and then top stitch everything by hand, and I don't want to do that. So let's pretend these pins are stitches. If I pin this waistband to the seam there and the right sides together, hey, I will then be able to turn it down. This is again the inside. I've done a little ironing on this one side, on this one edge here. If I can stitch this guy down along this edge, and then I can flip this whole thing over and then just hand stitch, tack that down all on the inside. So that's the plan. Let's try it.
Okay, guys, we are getting really close. This is exciting. This is the part of the project where you're like, am I done yet? Am I done yet? Am I done yet? And we're almost there. Hey, off camera, I did put a zipper into the side placket. The directions tell you to use snaps and hook and eye. That totally works. it just takes a really long time. So I tried putting a zipper in and I didn't film it because zippers make me nervous and stuff always goes wrong. So I will link to one of my favorite tutorials for zipper insertion if you are like me and they make you nervous. But let's see, we've got to do the buttons. And I did find some really fun vintage ones. Check these out. Oop, try to focus a little bit. Yeah, these are pretty fun. They've got a little cutout on the inside. And look, they used to be, what, 80 cents? And then they were on sale. Ooh, 60 cents. Definitely a vintage piece for that. So I think these will look really cute going up the front. And then, of course, I need to hem the skirt. It's actually really long. So I think I am going to get that maxi length after all. I think need to cut it off a little bit. So those are our last steps, guys. Buttons, hemming, and then we need to wear this thing. So pretty excited. Hey, while I do this, it's a great time for you to hit that like button to let me know if you found this video I'm using. And of course, consider subscribing to Partners in Craft. We're always up to something around here and you never know what's coming next. All right, guys, I'm going to get to buttoning there and hemming there. And then I'll show you what she looks like when we're done.